We have several rivalries this week to talk about. We got the Anchor Bone Classic, but one other rivalry that has been going on since 1920 that isn't talked about enough is Northern Michigan versus Michigan Tech, the Miners Cup, which really, if you wanted a little bit of history, it was a trophy that was created by Michigan Tech in 2002. This rivalry has been truly kind of dominated since that rivalry trophy has been formed. Last time Northern Michigan had won this rivalry game was 2009, so it has been quite a while. At least heading into 2024. Last year it was a 19-3 lead for Michigan Tech. Obviously, Northern Michigan has struggled in this rivalry. It's not to anyone's surprise because Northern Michigan has struggled the past couple of years. They just actually won their first game in, I believe, 28-29 games against Roosevelt last week, which for anyone, like, I'm super happy and super thrilled and super just excited for this Northern Michigan team. I know that obviously losing that many games in a row can get very difficult, and there's going to be some guys that might have possibly never won a game. And getting a win like that against Roosevelt, a pretty dominant one as well. They end up putting up 42 points. They were able to run the ball extremely effectively. That's just what Northern Michigan has done this year. That's just what this offense has been. And I just want to say congratulations to Northern Michigan on their win. First win of the year, first win in a little while. But I'm super excited for them. Congratulations on that. Obviously, really, really good win, and you gotta be feeling pretty well going into this rivalry game. And rivalry games are games that are pretty competitive. Obviously, you have a ton of guys that are from probably the UP. This is a UP rivalry. You have guys that are bought into this rivalry. These guys understand it. They obviously have a history of it throughout this week. This is a rivalry. If you're Northern Michigan, it hasn't gone your way in quite a while. If you're Michigan Tech, you want to continue to keep that momentum going. And you have a Michigan Tech team that is coming off of a difficult loss against Ferris State, which for a lot of programs coming off of Ferris State, it's going to be a difficult loss, right? Like, Michigan Tech did not play very well. I talked about that in the preview. They can definitely be a lot better, and this is going to be an opportunity to kind of get things right. And this is a matchup that I think both of these teams going into it understand each other quite a bit, not only because of this rivalry, but because of what these two teams have done this year. If you really truly look at the strengths versus the weaknesses of Northern Michigan and Michigan Tech, I mentioned Northern Michigan is going to want to run the ball. That's exactly how they have been able to do it. They have guys that have been able to be efficient through there, and when they've been really competitive, it's been through running the ball. But you look at what Michigan Tech has, especially when it comes to defensively. Michigan Tech defensively, stopping the run, they give up 100 yards or less on average throughout the season, which if you look at just what Northern Michigan has done offensively, they've ran for almost 260 yards of offense. It's truly a strength versus a strength. It's going to be about what type of Northern Michigan team shows up. Are they going to be able to continue that momentum from last week? Are they going to be able to run the ball like they did against Roosevelt? If they can get the big plays that they did against Roosevelt and can consistently run the ball, this is going to be a game that could be extremely interesting, and it could be a game that could be a building block for Northern Michigan. Get a win last week, maybe get a close contest this week. You see a little bit of what this team can do. You can kind of see a buy-in. You can kind of see that belief kind of creep back into Northern Michigan. That's really what a win can possibly do. And then you also have to talk about Michigan Tech and their side of things. Like, they understand last week was against the number one team in the country. They didn't perform well. I obviously expect them to respond. You guys have great athletes. You have a great quarterback in Alex Bueno. I've mentioned him several different times. You have great wide receivers. You have a really good running back in Jake Roof. Like, these guys are good. I feel like they just struggled last week and they made too many mistakes to come back against a really good opponent in Ferris State. I think they're going to get those things right. I think they're going to get things going offensively, and I think defensively they're going to be fine because there are several times last week where Michigan Tech did a pretty good job defensively, especially for the position that we're put into. I truly think that's going to be the biggest difference in this game compared to last week for Michigan Tech, is that Michigan Tech is not going to play the level of offense that Ferris State has. And that's no shot at Northern Michigan. Northern Michigan has some guys, especially at the running back position, but this is a different type of offense. Ferris was a very equal type offense, passing, throwing the ball. They could really approach you through those two different ways. Northern Michigan is not really going to do that. It's going to be a lot of through the ground. It's going to be a lot of running the ball. It's going to be a lot of physicality. And if you can get that stopped, I think this is a game that Michigan Tech could win. And that's going to be my prediction. I think Michigan Tech is going to win this game. I think this is going to be a bounce back opportunity for Michigan Tech. Do I think that Northern Michigan comes into this game and plays better? Do I think it's going to be closer than the past couple of years score-wise? Absolutely. I definitely do. I think Northern Michigan has a little bit of momentum, a little bit of belief coming off of their win against Roosevelt. But in my opinion, Roosevelt is a little bit different than what this Michigan Tech team is. And obviously, I was really excited for Northern Michigan to get the win. Obviously, they're really motivated. They're really excited for this game. But I just think Michigan Tech has a little bit too much offensively on the defensive side of the ball for Northern Michigan to win this game. Like I said earlier, I do think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be more competitive, but I think Michigan Tech is just too much for Northern Michigan in this game, even though that they're coming off of a win and Michigan Tech is coming off of a loss. But it's the Miners' Cup. You never necessarily know. You love the history of it, that it was created in 2002 by the Michigan Tech's athletic department. I'm sure there's probably a little bit more history than just that specifically, but rivalry games, you never know. And you know that these two teams do not like each other. You know that these two teams have been playing for a really long time, over 100 years. This is the UP matchup. This is going to be who's going to have the advantage, who's going to have the bragging rights over the other team in the UP. You know the UP is going to be really excited. You're going to have a ton of people traveling for this game. It's going to be a really fun game. I'm going to be really interested to see how this game goes, even though I think, again, Michigan Tech will win this game. But if you like this content, definitely make sure to come back for the recap. I'll talk about the game. I'll talk about what I saw, the good things, the bad things. I'll talk about the result, who wins, who loses, all that kind of stuff. And then if you also like it, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. I'll obviously do a recap, but I do more Michigan Tech. I do more Northern Michigan. I do other teams as well in the state of Michigan. So please let your friends, family know, everyone know about the channel. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk about what happens in this game coming up later this week or early next week. But good luck to both of those teams. Congrats to Northern Michigan on snapping their losing streak. And we'll see who's going to be taking home the Miners' Cup after Saturday.